Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, where we decode the hidden language of big business, and let me tell you. VF Corporation's latest report seems to have traded in their usual threads for some serious financial threads. Today we're diving into a fresh 8K filing from VF Corporation, the company behind brands like Vans and the North Face. This isn't a deep dive into their quarterly sales or profits, but rather a look at a major financial move they've made. Think of it as the company getting a new credit card, but a really big one. This filing is called an 8K, and it's essentially a way for companies to quickly report any significant events that shareholders should know about. This particular report is all about a new credit agreement, which is basically a fancy way of saying they've secured a large amount of money they can borrow if needed. So VF Corporation, the owner of popular brands like Vans, the North Face and Timberland, has just inked a new deal for a massive revolving credit facility. Now, what does that really mean for us and for the company? Let's talk about what's registered on the New York Stock Exchange. We've got their common stock, that's the regular shares of ownership. But then there are these specific notes, like the 4.125% senior notes due 2026 and others maturing in 2028, 2029 and 2032. These are like loans the company has taken out and they've promised to pay them back with interest. It shows they use debt to manage their finances. This filing is mainly about Item 110.01, which announces when a company enters into an important official agreement. And for VF Corporation, that agreement is a brand new credit facility worth a cool $1.5 billion. This new deal replaces an older one from 2021. Picture this, a $1.5 billion credit facility. That's a huge chunk of change. This isn't just a lump sum of cash, it's a line of credit, meaning VF can borrow money as they need it, up to that 1.5 billion paying off other debts. The cool part is how they can borrow this money. It's linked to what they call a borrowing base. Think of it like this. The more valuable stuff the company owns that can be easily sold, like money owed by wholesale customers before it's fully paid, eligible wholesale receivables, or money owed by wholesale customers before it's fully paid, eligible wholesale receivables, plus stuff they have in stock and stuff on its way to them, eligible inventory and in-transit inventory. The more they can borrow, it's like their assets are the collateral for this massive loan. Within this giant facility, there are also smaller, specialized credit lines. They have a $100 million sub-facility for letters of credit. These are like guarantees that VF can give to someone else saying they'll pay if VF doesn't. Businesses often use these for international deals or to secure certain contracts. Then there's a $100 million swing line sub-facility. This is for really short-term quick loans that can be repaid very quickly, almost like quickly pulling cash from a line of credit. They've also set aside up to $400 million specifically for their Swiss operations, again based on their Swiss businesses' assets and inventory. And there's another $75 million for their German operations, also tied to their German wholesale receivables. This shows they're managing their global presence and making sure their international branches have access to funds too. And here's something interesting. This new credit line has something called an Accession feature. This means that if VF needs even more money later on, they can potentially expand this credit line up to a staggering $2 billion bigger credit card if they prove they can handle it. So what are they planning to do with all this money? The report says they can use it to pay off their old credit line, which is pretty standard when you get a new loan. They can also use it to pay the fees and expenses related to setting up this new credit facility. And most importantly, it's for working capital and general corporate purposes. This essentially means they can use it for anything they need to run the business, from paying employees to marketing their brands. One of the really useful features is that they can borrow in different currencies like Canadian dollars, euros, British pounds, and Swiss francs, not just US dollars. This is super helpful for a global company like VF that deals with suppliers and customers all over the world. It can save them money on currency exchange fees. Now let's talk about the cost of borrowing. When they borrow money, they'll have to pay interest. The interest rates can be based on different benchmarks like the US base rate or something new called Term SOFR. The actual rate they pay depends on something called the applicable margin, which can range from 0.50% to 2.00% depending on how much of the credit line they're actually using. Basically, if they use less of the credit line, they might get a lower interest rate. Even if they don't borrow any money, they still have to pay a fee for having this credit facility available. This fee is called a commitment fee, and it ranges from 0.25% to 0.375% of the unused portion. It's like paying a small fee to have that credit card ready in your wallet just in case. Now, who's backing this giant credit line? The company itself, VF Corporation, is guaranteeing it. Plus, many of their subsidiaries in the US, UK, and Canada are also guaranteeing it, and they're putting up their assets as security. This means if VF can't pay back the money, these subsidiaries and their assets could be used to cover the debt. It's a common practice to spread the risk and provide more security to the lenders. Like any loan agreement, this one has rules and conditions. These are called covenants. There are good things they have to do, like providing financial information, and bad things they're not allowed to do, like taking on too much too quickly or selling off key assets without permission. If they break these rules, or if they simply can't make a payment when it's due, it's considered an event of default. If that happens, the lenders can stop lending them money and demand all the money back immediately. There are also clauses about bankruptcy which would instantly trigger the demand for repayment. And then there's item 1.02, which covers when a significant agreement is terminated. Since they just got this new massive credit facility, they've officially paid off and terminated their old credit agreement from November 2021. It's like closing out one credit card account because you've opened a new better one. Item 2.03 is about when a company takes on a new financial obligation. Everything we just discussed about this new credit agreement directly into this category. It's a big new financial commitment for VF Corporation. I mentioned earlier that this document is a summary and the real detailed agreement is attached as an exhibit. This exhibit 10.1 is the actual credit agreement laying out all the nitty-gritty terms and conditions that VF Corporation and the banks have agreed upon. And finally, the signatures at the end, including Paul Vogel, the Executive Vice President and Chief Financial Officer, confirm that the company is formally acknowledging and agreeing to these terms. So what's the story here? VF Corporation, a major player in the apparel and footwear industry, has just secured a very large credit facility. This shows they're proactive in managing their finances and ensuring they have access to capital. Having such a substantial credit line can give them flexibility to invest in their brands, manage inventory, weather economic downturns, or even pursue acquisitions. However, it also means they are taking on more potential debt. While this new facility seems well structured with various currency options and provisions for future expansion, it's crucial for VF to manage this debt wisely. The interest payments and commitment fees are real costs, and if they ever need to draw heavily on this line, it could impact their profitability. In my opinion, this move signifies a strategic attempt by VF to strengthen its financial foundation and provide itself with greater maneuverability. The fact that they've replaced an older agreement with a newer, larger one with more flexibility suggests a confidence in their future prospects and a need for updated financial tools. The key risk here, as with all debt, is the ability to service it. Given their established brands, they likely have a solid plan, but the retail landscape is always changing. They need to ensure their sales growth can comfortably cover the costs associated with this significant credit line. Alright, that's our breakdown of VF Corporation's latest financing move. What's your take on these numbers and what they signal for the company's future? Do you think this massive credit line is a smart move for VF? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of corporate finance. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description to join our community. Thanks for watching. See you next time.